Well, there's certainly been a lot to talk about on the forums over at narniaweb.com, and I'm still trying to kind of get a bearing on just what's going on with the film. And probably the biggest, well, for one thing, I mean, there's of course pictures, all these pictures of the ship, and I'll probably have to do a separate video on that. Um, but I think ultimately, right now, I'm still considering when people say, "Hey, what do you think about Voyage of the Dawn Treader? How's it going?" Because they know that I'm, um, you know, Narnia buff, and then I'm a Lewis fan in general. I'm reading A Grief Observed right now, so I'm concerned about these films and things, and they know that I take concern in them, and that I'm watching over them, sort of, because these are friends of mine who don't necessarily visit the forums, and so they say, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm kind of going, "I don't know," and part of it has to do with really the whole unfathomable fate phrase in the synopsis, and I still can't really figure out what to think of it. I think um, part of it is for me. I mean, like in looking at the old script, I think you could see what they were trying to do is they were trying to up the stakes, and what they were trying to with upping the stakes, it's really very unnecessary. It really is, and I think it's something that they were trying to do there, and I see it even among Narnia Webbers, and that's what's been interesting. Whenever Narnia Webbers will do their little trailers, they'll go to the forums, they'll lay out these trailers, their description of a trailer, what they think would be a cool trailer, and one time for Prince Caspian, they had you know Prince Caspian, King Miraz has 100,000 men. And of course, I was reading that and thinking, 100,000? Come on. So I can see the desire that people have to do that, and it's really kind of weird to me, and I think it's unnecessary. One, because that's not what Prince Caspian is about. It's not about a survival game. I mean, there's episodes of survival in it, but that's what makes it so episodic, really. And it was interesting. There's a guy who emailed me recently, and he was giving his thoughts as to one book adaptation. This is personally one of my favorite book adaptations to movie. I think it's almost a standard for me as Anne of Green Gables. I think the cast, the script, the way they did it was so good. I mean, I loved the book. I loved the movie. It was such a good job. But one person, so I think it's a great adaptation. But this guy was writing in saying, I was just thinking about why I liked that adaptation, because he liked it as well. And he said, it's very episodic. There's no adventure survival piece, even though there's some areas of drama and intensity in there, sure. But he said what really holds it together is the characters. And I think that that's so key to Voyage of the Dawn Treader. For one thing, Voyage of the Dawn Treader has one of the best compilations of characters interacting together. You have Caspian, you have Lucy, you have Edmund, you have Eustace, you have Reepicheep, and you've got fun characters along the way. You have Coriocan, you have Irmandu, you have the chief of the Dufflepeds, and I think that it'd be very easy for the scriptwriter to lose sight of that and think, okay, frankly, it's not exciting enough. We need a big blockbuster. We need to up the stakes. We need to take it to the next level. Make it. Sure, we'll keep the Seven Lords in there, but we'll make it about something more. Because ultimately, do I think that they're trying to save Narnia from destruction? Which is actually, if you think about it, what Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was about. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was about Aslan really saving Narnia from destruction. And I could see them saying, okay, well, we need to make. I don't think that they'd go that direction. They could, but I don't think that's what they're talking about. I think, with the unfathomable fate, for one thing to keep in mind, it's a marketing ploy. The synopsis, it also talks about magical dufflepuds. Glumpuddle pointed that out. And I don't think it's a big deal as far as that aspect. But I think, I tend to think, just looking at that line, I tend to think they got it from something. They didn't just make it up, or make up some unfathomable fate for the marketing. Okay, I tend to think that that's how they got it from something. So let's say that it's something small. Okay, what they're doing is they're taking a story that's already adventurous enough. I mean, Caspian could have just gone out to see the end of the world, but this gave him a good excuse. So he has that purpose for a quest. It's not superfluous. But I think what that could distract from is the real essence of the story, and this, the story of learning about these characters. I mean, the characters are what drive the story. They're very interesting characters. And furthermore, and this kind of gets into actually the discussion I had with Ben Barnes months ago, when he asked me, what do you think of the important themes? And I said, well, discovery. It's a sort of discovery, learning more about themselves, more about each other, more about Aslan, more about what's important. It's a huge journey of discovery for Eustace, for Lucy, for Caspian, towards the end when Aslan chastises him on his priorities. And there's so much there as far as where the characters go. I think that's the important thing, and I never really enjoyed movies or books where the characters weren't really doing anything. The characters didn't really, their decisions didn't seem to have a lot of weight. It was the movie pushing it, just the events. You're just kind of getting pushed around by the events. I didn't really like that. Ironically, I was this literally just popped in my mind. I just rewatched the Matrix trilogy again, and what's interesting is comparing the first one with the second one with the third one. In the first one, their choices, it's the characters, these interesting characters that are making these choices that are propelling the story forward. Morpheus and his sacrifice. You have Neo deciding to, go against all odds to rescue Morpheus. You have Trinity deciding to go with him. You have decisions they make along the way. Whereas in the second and third one, they kind of get pushed along, because, it's about something bigger, it's about something bigger, it's about something bigger. When actually the one that really grabs you is the one that's, in some ways, it's a much more personal story. So, these are just some of my thoughts as I think about what they're trying to deal with, what the scriptwriters are dealing with. Am I worried? I'm concerned. I'm concerned about that. I'm not really concerned about... it's funny, with Prince Caspian, I wasn't really concerned about the general messages they were going to try to come across, how they would get these messages across. Okay, you could be concerned about that. But I wasn't really concerned about the messages they were going to push with Prince Caspian. I was kind of concerned about, okay, how is this going to play out? How are the sequences, how's the story going to overall play out? I think overall the story for Voyage of the Dawn Treader is pretty much safe. As far as which islands, the order of the islands, what they find on the islands, who they find on the islands, I think that's pretty much secure. But it's about so much more than that. And it'd be very easy, really the easiest thing for them to screw up with Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Characters aside, they could always script characters. They've done it before in the past, and they've got it right before in the past. I don't want to be overly critical. But considering, in the past, the ending they could really screw up with the dialogue, with the lamb they find. That would be easy to screw up. But even this overarching feel, kind of the overall aesthetic of the story, why does it have to be about saving someone immediately? They are actually going to save Seven Lords, but why does it have to be about saving Narnia? Isn't it okay to go have an adventure? Come on, there's something glorious in that, I think, okay, we're going to risk our lives, we're going to sail to the ends of the earth, literally the ends of the earth. And now it seems like there's this desire, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's this, I feel this desire from some of the producers, maybe the scriptwriters, I don't know who, to shift that away. So, we'll see what happens. I'm a little bit, I'm not sure if I'd say I'm overall optimistic or overall somewhat pessimistic, but we shall see. But next off to cover the ship. The ship looks great. I was a little bit critical of the Dragon's Prow. I'm liking it much, much more the more I see of it. And oh my goodness, this one beautiful shot of it in the sunlight. Oh, it's gorgeous. You ought to go right now. Go to narniaweb.com. Check out the photo of the prow in the sunlight. All right. Till next time, the Civilian signing off.